after 20 plus years, the form that everybody saw as one of the greatest transformations in Dragon Ball of all time has finally returned. Welcome back to Nerdstorm Entertainment, everybody. If this is your first time here, I am Nerdstorm, back with another exciting Dragon Ball Daima review. And in today's video, we are going to be discussing Dragon Ball Daima episode 18, titled Awakening. And yes, this definitely was an awakening. But before we even get into any of that, if you are not already subscribed, be sure to hit that subscribe button and then ring the bell to receive notifications so that way you know every time I happen to upload a new video. And with that being said, let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get right into this review. So the episode starts out the exact same place that we left off with episode 17, where Goma's just proclaiming that he's this strong, powerful Supreme Demon King, Goku powering up into Super Saiyan 3, and them getting ready to go at it. And let me tell you, a majority of this episode was action-packed. And I know a lot of Dragon Ball fans out there that have been hating on Dragon Ball Daima because it's not enough action, it's not manly enough, yada yada yada. They want this hyper-masculine anime, which you do not need to be good. This is for them. This episode was for them. So again, I know all those fans are finally gonna say, oh, Dragon Ball Daima is good. No, it's been good. You're just the type of person that likes to complain about everything. But I digress. Again, like I said, the beginning of this episode was so action-packed. Goku was putting the hands on Goma in Super Saiyan 3, mind you. Now, was he necessarily overpowering him? No, he wasn't, but again, he was still giving him them hands, and it was good hands too. It was more or less as if they were evenly matched, more than Goku being overpowered by Goma, or vice versa. And what was good about this fight as well is that Majin Buu and the Tamagami, and eventually the rest of the Z fighters in the group, eventually jumped in to help Goku during this battle. But to no avail, because Goma would constantly knock them back, even when they would come at him with their strongest attacks. And then it got to a point to where this man Majin Buu said that maybe Buu should get a power-up just like Goku. So this man takes out this giant chocolate chip cookie and just launches it like a frisbee at this man Buu. And then this man Buu catches it in his mouth. He starts chewing on it. And then that's when Buu has to tell him, you can power up too. And of course, as soon as he's done chomping on that cookie, this man starts to power up just like Goku. And when I say just like Goku, I quite literally mean just like Goku. Because he looks at Goku in his Super Saiyan 3 form, gets an idea, and then he starts to grow hair like Super Saiyan 3, and he loses his eyebrow. Even though he technically didn't have any, but his whole eyebrow ridge actually becomes a little bit more defined. So yes, we have Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and if you want to call it Super Saiyan 3 Majin Buu going at it with Goma. And honestly, this part was pretty lit. I'm not even gonna hold you, because it literally seemed as if Buu really got a whole power up, because he was holding his own just like Goku was in Super Saiyan 3. They were giving him them hands, and they're a pretty good combination too, I will have to admit. But it got to a point to where this man Majin Buu exhausted all the power of the cookie, and he deformed. The cookie literally wore off, and then he ended up getting mollywopped out the area. But Goku and the Tamagami ended up continuing the fight, but to no avail, because the evil third eye caused Goma to actually power up even more, and he blasted everybody away, especially when he ended up creating this large being that just blew Goku away, and then he came in and stomped on this man like he had some Timbs on him, and then he proceeded to get yeeted away. But Goku got up thinking he was about to try with all his might, but no, this man Goku tries to throw a little weak ass punch at him, and Goma literally steps out the way and then blasts him. And then it's at that point that everybody thinks it's over. Even Goma. Piccolo states that we cannot beat him in our condition. And then that's when Goma begins to charge up this really crazy looking blast. And it seems as if Goku's not gonna have enough power to stop. But out of nowhere, this man Never just walks up, looks at Goku, and like, you know what? I'll do something about this. He begins to give this man some form of energy, and then out of nowhere, everything just goes black and in blue, right? Very reminiscent of something we've seen before, because we start to see water droplets dropping all over the place. Goku begins to levitate, and then this power within him begins to glow. And then we see all these bright red and blue colors. And then out of nowhere, his forearms start to get bigger. They start to grow hair. His hair goes from being gold to like this reddish black, bright red color. He gets a tail. And yes, for those that may not know and that may be thinking, all of this sounds very familiar. Yes, this man seemingly transformed into what we as fans know as Super Saiyan 4. Yes, the rumors are definitely true. We got Super Saiyan 4 canonized. Now, is it actually Super Saiyan 4? Obviously not. We don't have a name for this transformation as of yet, but more than likely it has something to do with some Namekian power and or some demon power, if you will, even though they're the same thing. And then we see Goma and Vegeta, obviously. They're surprised. They don't know what's going on. And I'll get on Vegeta in a little bit because, as y'all know, I ain't the biggest Vegeta fan. And all this entire episode just made me so happy. But I digress. Goma gets ticked off and then he throws the blast that he's been charging at Goku. And then the coolest thing, you can see like Goku's silhouette in the mist just straight up holding this blast back. It was so cool. And then we zoom in and we can actually see Goku and we're beginning to see his eyes glow, and then they go to normal and we literally get to see Super Saiyan 4 push this blast back. It's kind of wild. And then this man powers up to simply dissipate it. And then it's at that point that we see Super Saiyan 4 in its full glory. And crazy enough, everybody's just stunned, wondering what this is, especially Vegeta. And Bigelow comments about how powerful Goku's ki is. And again, this Super Saiyan 4, which is what the fans are calling it right now, obviously, again, it's not actually Super Saiyan 4, specifically from GT, but I digress. This transformation is definitely different from what we know of from GT. Not only is the fur color a bit of a magenta instead of a red, the hair is actually the same color as the fur. So his hair, instead of being black like the GT version of Super Saiyan 4, it is the magenta color that the fur is. The fur on his arms don't come down to his wrist. They kind of stop right after his elbow on his forearm. And speaking of his forearms and his wrist are a lot larger, kind of similar to how a lot of apes are. Some people might not necessarily notice that specific change, but they are definitely slightly bigger than the rest of his arm. Outside of that, it's pretty much the same as the Super Saiyan 4 that we know from GT. The only difference is in GT, somehow Goku got these random clothes out of nowhere, but in Daima, obviously, when Goku transformed into Super Saiyan 4, his shirt ripped off. But we'll get into his clothes a little bit later because something else happens to them later. But yes, again, we got Super Saiyan 4 in its full glory, and it is wonderful. I am super glad that Toriyama was able to canonize this before he passed away. So again, as Dragon Ball fans, Toriyama, we definitely appreciate you for bringing peak to Dragon Ball. Now, was I a fan of Super Saiyan 4? Yes, I loved Super Saiyan 4. I just didn't like GT or how Super Saiyan 4 came about within GT. I felt like they could have explained it better back then, but I digress. Now, yes, in Daima, this doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense because it kind of just came out of nowhere because Neva just walked up on him and just gave him this power. But still, like I said, we finally got this form, or at least a version of this form within Dragon Ball canon. Now, a little bit later, I'll get into how a lot of people aren't necessarily seeing how this is making sense when it comes to Dragon Ball Super and later events within Super, but I'll get to there later in this video. So let's continue. Goku is astonished at what he transformed into. He's just looking at himself, and Nappa is like, yeah, I did that. That's all me right there. This man Goku is amazed. He even looks back at his tail. He's like, wow, I got one of those things again. And then Goma is pissed off, and he sees Goku just get into his natural ready to fight stance. And I love it. It's at that point that Goku rushes Goma, and we see Goku smiling. He knows what's up. He knows he's about to put the paws on this man Goma. And we is ready. They clash in one of the greatest fights with not only within Dragon Ball Daima, but probably within Dragon Ball. I'll go that far. Within Dragon Ball as a whole happens. This fight was amazing, and honestly, in my humble opinion, was probably the best Super Saiyan 4 fight that we've ever seen. And yes, that includes everything that we saw in GT. I'll go that far. People are gonna hate me for this, but I don't care. Just because some animation is old doesn't necessarily make it trash. But as an overall product, the choreography and including the animation and everything, that's how you can actually compare things, especially when it comes to old versus new stuff. And I'm telling you, the new stuff is better. But like I said, Goku is giving Goma the pause. And what's crazy is Super Saiyan 3, he was still putting hands on Goma, but like I said earlier, they were more evenly matched than anything. But this time, Goku has a little bit of an edge over Goma. He's still getting clapped every now and then, but nowhere near as much as he was when it came to Super Saiyan 3. And this transformation, he's able to stop Goma's attacks altogether by just putting his hand out and stopping a punch. It's crazy. And he's able to speed blitz Goma. The difference in power is definitely there. So much so that the evil third eye even jumps in to try and give Goma a boost in power at times. But it seemingly doesn't matter because Goku jumps right back into the fray and starts putting the paws right back on Goma every time that happens. And crazy enough, one of the things that I've always wanted to see with Super Saiyan 4 is Goku actually use his tail during the fight. And Goku does this multiple times during this fight, and I love it. It's almost as if Goku is fighting in a primal state. Again, remember, Goku is nothing but Toriyama's version, if you will, of the story of the Monkey King. And Goku actually exemplified that so much during this episode. Because you'll see, even when Goma uses the evil third eye to levitate a bunch of rocks and start to throw them at Goku, this man starts to run like a monkey and or a gorilla, just some type of ape, right? He just starts to run like one, and it's so good. It looks so cool to see him do this. And then he even does the Tarzan slide. Oh my God. I loved it. On top of that, there were so many callbacks back to GT. Like I said earlier, with when he originally transformed Goku in this state of mind where everything's like bluish, that happened in GT. And then Goku just getting ready to throw a blast or a punch right at his enemy, and you see his chest puff out. That was another callback to a steel frame within GT. I loved all the callbacks to GT here. And then one of the craziest things that happened in this episode, this man did a whole Sonic spin on a blast that he was getting ready to throw at Goma. And I'm sitting here thinking while I'm watching this, I'm like, they really sat here and made Goku do the Sonic spin up dash. That was wild. And then for a split second, I was starting to think, I was like, is this man really about to become Luffy and just start doing random crazy stuff? But now I was like, nah, that's not happening. So like I said, he throws that blast at Goma and everybody thinks it's a wrap because this man Goku just sitting there aura farming, just standing there posing right, thinking that he did it. But Goma's still there, and that's when Glorio, Do, and the Tamagami and everybody else begins to jump into the fray, except for this man Vegeta. I don't know what's up with this man. I don't see how he got more hurt than anybody else, because during the last episode, he got blasted just like everybody else did. But of course, this man is hurt. I really wish that he was holding that left arm. I really wish that left arm was hurt. That would have been the icing on the cake. But I honestly feel as if this man is just salty that he got left behind yet again. Not only did this man finally show us that he had Super Saiyan 3 during Dragon Ball Daima, he was forced to see Goku transform into this new transformation. I love the salt on this man's face. You can see his sodium levels skyrocket. This man's blood pressure is on 1,000. You can see it on this man's face. Hate. But it's okay, Vegeta. It's okay. Maybe one day you'll get this. Maybe one day we'll see you in this, but no time soon. No time soon. Oh my God, I love it. And I know the Vegeta fans out there are gonna be so mad, but guess what? Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta will never be canon, or at least no time soon. But I digress. Let's get back to it. Everybody is fighting this man Goma. The Super Saiyan 4 Goku crew is just putting the paws on Goma. Everybody starts to blast him, but to no avail, because he blasts everybody back except for Goku, and then they clash again. I've got to say, every time this man Goku goes in for a mean punch on Goma's face, it's almost as if he's distorting the crap out of this man, because he literally seemingly breaks this man's jaw every time he punches him in the face. It's wild. Either that or I just was able to freeze it on the craziest frame every single time. And then one of the coolest parts of this episode with the fight between Super Saiyan 4 Goku versus Goma is this man Goku sends this man Goma flying into a mountain, and then Goku flies in after him. And as they're fighting in the mountain, it's almost as if we get this crazy red and blue silhouetted Goku and Goma just going after each other. It's so good. The animation in this episode was top tier, and as I said, this is some of the best fights within Dragon Ball that we've ever gotten. But Goma gets sent flying out of the mountain. He gets blasted up against the wall, and he gets pissed off. He says curses and tries to fly back right towards Goku. But as he's flying towards Goku, we cut to Glorio, and he's just looking at Goku, and he gets a sense of justice. He starts to power up, and he goes flying in, and that's when we see Glorio and Piccolo firing up some of their top tier blasts. Piccolo firing up the special beam cannon, and Glorio firing up whatever the heck he has with that magic electricity. But they clash with Goma, but the clash doesn't work because Goma sends them flying back. Crazy enough, that gave Goku the chance to sit there and start charging up a Kamehameha. And what was so cool about it, when he opened his eyes was just glowing red. It was so good. It looked so good. But crazy enough, this man Goma speed blitzes Goku before he can finish saying Kamehameha, and he gets mollywopped in the face. And what was cool about this, the scene turned black and white right as Goku got punched in the face. And then he got sent flying back, and you see Goku's eyes start to flicker. And I'm telling you, I was starting to think, I'm like, oh my God, this is all for nothing. This should have been the time when he turned Super Saiyan 4. We should have seen the whole Super Saiyan 3 giving him work, but no. I'm like, oh my God, this is all for nothing. And Goma thinks he has Goku, but crazy enough, as Goku's getting sent flying back, he starts to turn his back, and the scene turns black and white again. And then you see a little blue flash, and I was like, oh yes, this man is about to do it. It was a play. This man Goku knew what he was doing the whole time. He finishes the incantation, Kamehameha, and he blasts the hell out of this man Goma. It looked so good. And crazy enough, while he was firing this Kamehameha, I don't know if this was on purpose or if this was part of the animation or whatever the case may be, or if this was within Goku himself, but it seemed as if there was some type of fire coming from Goku as well, and that enveloped the Kamehameha and sent Goma flying towards the ground. And then it's at that point that Goku literally thinks that he did the thing, but the evil third eye starts pulsating, and this man Goma just comes up out of the ground. And as he's coming up out of the ground, this big old purple smoke bubble balloon or whatnot is enveloping him, and it causes him to grow exponentially larger. When I say exponentially larger, I really mean exponentially larger. Like, he's a giant now, and he really thinks that he's about to body everybody, which he kind of does, but still. And then the evil third eye starts to let off this electricity, and it sends Goku flying back. But Goku doesn't let that affect him. He tries to come back at Goma, but Goma does this little crazy move on the third eye, and he envelops him in this ball of energy, and it's literally stopping him from moving. And in this ball of energy, we happen to see that Goma is able to take the energy away from Goku and causes him to slowly but surely de-transform to each of his Super Saiyan forms. So we see him go from 4 to 3, and then eventually 3 to 2, and then 2 to 1, and then back to base form. But as I said earlier with the whole clothes thing, I do want to state this. It's crazy enough, when Goku goes from 4 to 3, we see his shirt come back. So all the people that's like, oh yes, the whole magical clothes thing with Goku Super Saiyan 4 from GT, that's still canon, but like not necessarily, because we don't really know what Goma was doing here, whether or not he was literally sucking Goku's power away, or if he was literally just rewinding time, or whatever the case, right? We really don't know, because I've seen both theories on Twitter. So either way, it calls Goku to go back to his base form without energy. And as this is happening, Goku's like, the Tatarian Oculus is powerful. But as Goku's getting sucked back to base form, then that's a crazy statement to say. this man Glorio gets a call on his little transponder thing. And obviously it's Arensu telling Glorio to bring the Dragon Balls to her. So like I said, we see Goku go back to his base form and he gets dropped to the ground. And then we go right back to Glorio telling Hybus to give him the Dragon Balls. And I really thought it was over for this man Hybus at that point. I thought Glorio was literally just gonna Hybus and that was gonna be it. But thankfully, Hybus is okay because I love Hybus. Hybus is my favorite character within Dragon Ball Daima. I don't care what nobody says, I love him. Let him survive, please. But Glorio gets the Dragon Balls and he takes them to Arensu. And she states, I'm going to use the Dragon Balls to make my wish. I'll become the new Supreme Demon King with the most magic power and defeat Goma. And then she tells this man Glorio to quickly summon Porunga. And that's the reason why she had him learn the Namekian language. So that's even crazier. This man knows how to speak the Namekian language. I love it. And as she's saying this, he's literally having second thoughts about everything. He's starting to sweat, and Arensu's asking him what is he waiting for. At this rate, Goma's rule will last for an eternity. And Glorio seeing everybody get knocked away and knocked to the side by this man Goma. And again, like I said, he's having second thoughts about everything. He's remembering everything that he's been doing the past couple of days with the group, from arriving in the demon realm to getting the Dragon Balls from the Tamagamis to seeing Goku fighting the third Tamagami. Again, he has come to love these people and he just does not know what to do at this point. Whether or not to save his new friends or to do his duties, his job essentially, what he was hired to do. But then we see this man Glorio finally come to some form of realization whether or not he chose to save Goku and them or to do exactly what Arensu says. So he puts the Dragon Balls down and he begins the incantation to summon the Demon Realm's Porunga. And then that's exactly what happens. Porunga gets summoned, and crazy enough, it looks exactly like Planet Namek's Porunga, except for the fact that this one is a lot bigger and it's red. So I feel as if the reason why this Porunga is red is because this is a callback to the Dark Star Dragon Balls or the Black Star Dragon Balls from Dragon Ball GT, when that Shenron was summoned to turn Goku into a kid originally. So that's a nice little callback there. But Porunga is looking good. I love the entire sequence of Porunga getting summoned. I love the mix between 3D and 2D animation. It was really nice. Porunga looks good. Or the Demon Realm Porunga looks amazing. And then it's at that point that Pansy sees Glorio and she's kind of taken back to see Glorio essentially betraying them, or seemingly betraying them. And then Vegeta just outright says, you traitor, but how can this man talk? Because he hasn't done anything the entire episode besides be salty. But I get it. But Shin realizes that he was working for Arensu the entire time. But again, Shin's been suspicious of Glorio the entire show, so he probably suspected something like this was going to happen. And at that point, this man Goma, he begins to fly towards Porunga to try and throw a punch. But obviously, Porunga stops it with a single finger and flicks this man away. Yes, I said he flicked him away. He gave this man a little bump on the forehead and sent him flying. It was so good to see this man Goma get what he deserved. And then it's at that point that Arensu tells Glorio to go ahead and tell Porunga the wish to make her the Supreme Demon King with the greatest magic power. But Glorio is still having second thoughts, and that's when Arensu yells at him to say, make the wish, essentially. And that's when this man begins to make the wish in the Namekian language. Porunga's eyes start to glow, and then we see all this magic white light begin to circle Porunga, and seemingly the wish is made. And that's essentially how the episode ends. With that being said, the next episode is going to be episode 19. We only have 2 more episodes, but again, episode 19 titled Betrayal. And yes, this is going to be sad if this man Glorio actually made that wish. But I don't believe he did, especially with only 2 more episodes remaining. I feel as if the wish that he made was to turn Goku and the group back into adults, and with them being adults, they'll be at their full power and more than likely be able to stop Goma without any worries, hopefully. But all in all, I definitely enjoyed this episode. Again, I was never really a fan of Dragon Ball GT back in the day. I loved Super Saiyan 4, the whole aesthetic of it and everything, but I just did not like the lore behind how Super Saiyan 4 came to be within Dragon Ball GT, especially with the whole Golden Great Ape thing and whatnot. I was just never really a fan of that. But I loved how Dragon Ball Daima was able to make their own version of this. Again, it's not actually Super Saiyan 4, but Hopefully we'll get a name of it sometime in the future. So let me know how you enjoyed this episode in the comments section. Did you love it? Do you love the fact that we finally got a canon version of Super Saiyan 4? Are you one of those people that are finally watching Dragon Ball Daima? And if so, are you enjoying Dragon Ball Daima? Again, let me know in the comments section. And before we go, I do want to say this. And I know a lot of people are going to sit here and say, oh, this ruins the canon of Dragon Ball Super and whatnot. This is going to mess everything up. But we still have 2 episodes left, so don't sit there and say that, because we have no idea how any of this is going to meld. So just sit back and watch. With that being said, if you enjoyed this review, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and then ring the bell to receive notifications, so that way you know every time I happen to upload a brand new video. And if you want to talk to me live, I try and stream on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's twitch.tv/nerdstorm92. Catch me live, come chat with me. We be having a lot of fun. I usually talk about a bunch of random things or play games or whatever the case may be. We just have fun over there. So come catch me live and come chill. And if you want to see the content that I post on a daily basis, be sure to follow me on all my social media platforms. That's TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Bluesky, Facebook, any of those. If there's a social media platform, I'm more than likely on it, at Nerdstorm92. And if you want to chat with the community, the link to my Discord is also in the description as well. So with that being said, I will catch y'all in the next Dragon Ball Daima review video. Y'all continue to have a great rest of your day. Peace.